Here are a few unconventional ways to goal setting. So, whether you're watching this video in January or July, it doesn't really matter. I'm always finding myself trying to set some goals. But number one, let's go straight to the heart of the content, is because you might be measuring things where you would not have the agency or the control over. So, for instance, people might have a wonderful goal to have a better relationship with their mom, for instance. Or if you want to say, oh, I want to make, or I want to have 100 followers, more followers on Instagram, for instance. In both cases, the relationship is a symbiotic with your mom. It takes two. Also, having followers, the person needs to follow you. And so it's great if you can make it. People say that, oh, I want to make 100,000, for instance, in a year. But the focus is on something you may not have agency over. And people get burnt out from that type of goal setting. So I think a preferred way is to figure out what would help you have a better relationship with your mom, if that's the goal, or to have more followers on Instagram, if that's your goal. What you could probably control, for example, is let's say, call my mom twice a week. That's just an example. See what works for you. Or post consistently on Instagram, for instance. And the second tip is maybe counterintuitive, but it's to be detached to the outcome. The more force that you want things to happen, there's more force. It is likely that either you will be burnt out, so you might accomplish it. It's like a car breaking down. Yeah, you get to point B, but the car is breaking down, or you don't get to reach it, which creates frustration and disappointment on your part. Detaching to outcome is like planting a seed. And you imagine if you want the seed to grow so fast and so whatever your idea of what would come out of that seed. And if you're watering it every day, you're kind of like trying to expose it to the sun, it might not happen because there are many other elements. And the important part of that process may come from you might find this more from a spiritual perspective, is to allow the process to be, to trust it. So the important word there is to trust, is to detach from outcome. I'll tell you a quick story. One of my aunties told me that potatoes, like, if they're growing kind of hands and feet from your pantry, that I could just put it in a container in my kitchen and it'll grow by the windowsill. And so that's what happened. It started growing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this works. So I put it in the outside in the soil, and then I'm thinking it should be growing after a couple of weeks. I didn't check, I didn't research, and I started to pull on it. And my goodness, it had like little baby potatoes. I was forcing it to produce. And if I just let it be and just trust the process, by still I am being consistent by watering it whatever it needs and letting it be. So it's that balance, that combination. So my friends, detach to outcome. And the third one is that you are an artist, and if you want something to happen, the artist is not an artist because he's really trying to make sure he's painting and therefore he's an artist. He knows he's already an artist, and an expression, simply a manifestation of him being an artist, is then he paints. Do you see that the order is the other way around? So, what I'm encouraging you is, I'm not talking about an illustrator. I'm just saying that you are a creator, an artist of your own life. Whatever you produce, my friend, let it produce as an expression of yourself. And why I have been doing podcasts, if you're following, if you're not, there's a Pinoy love language podcast. I also write, and I'm on this and then on some um, social media platform, is because I see this not so much as me being liked by others, but simply an expression of myself, and my highest expression, because I'm a creator. And in that, my friend, you would not be burnt out, because what you do to others, you do to yourself. What you are is what you are expressing to others. So there's always that friend. Number four, okay, I'm looking at my list here, is to plan. And you can plan lightly, but be consistent. Often you make appointments for others, like whatever work you're doing, you're always like meeting people, or even if you are a stay-home parent, you are making appointments for to be with your children. And we feel bad when we don't make appointments. We don't make our appointments, or we run late to our appointments. But we don't feel bad when we fail to make our appointments with ourselves. And how would that look like depends on you. For me, I want to be expressing myself creatively. I might collage to painting, or just take a 30-minute walk. So whatever that is for you, make that appointment, because it builds your esteem to do more, to create more. So plan lightly, but make your appointments to yourself. Finally, do things not for love, but out of love. And it really makes a huge difference. So if you imagine it, for me, the cup is not full, or it's probably almost empty, or half empty, half full, however you want to perceive that. When you're doing something for love, there is a need to fill the cup, but usually it is in the guise of doing something for others. When you do something out of love, the cup is overflowing, and there's nothing else that can spring out of you but that love. As they say, you cannot squeeze um, oranges from apple. So whatever you're made out of, that's what you manifest. Um, I leave you with that, my friends. I hope this has been helpful. It is planning calmly, joyfully from the heart. Again, this is Rowan Samuels, licensed psychotherapist. I hope you're doing well. Bye now.